So I got into trail running a couple of years ago and I had absolutely no idea where to start, what I needed to buy and what I needed to avoid. I've made some mistakes along the way, but if you are getting into trail running in 2026, this is my advice on what you should buy, what you should consider buying and what you should avoid. What's going on, everyone? My name is Aaron. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. Today is New Year's Eve and I'm out on a trail run, and I got into trail running not much more than a year and a half ago, and I know in 2026 there's probably going to be quite a lot of people getting into trail running, so this is my advice whilst on a run in the beautiful Lake District to anyone who is getting into trail running in 2026. Let's go. Right, let's start off with things that I personally will be looking at buying almost straight away if I was starting trail running in 2026. So I am currently in Boot in the Eskdale Valley, running along the stunning river here. It's been a cold couple of days, but a dry couple of days, so trails aren't too bad. It's very flat, this run. So I'm just going to share some tips and advice with you that have helped me on my trail running journey. Right, so firstly, by far the most important thing that you could invest in if you're getting into trail running is some trail running shoes. Now, if you're just going to be running like very light, flat trails that you'd almost find at your local park, you could probably just get away with normal road running shoes, but trust me, trail shoes are a great investment and you will notice the difference when you get onto more advanced trails. So by far the most important thing is trail running shoes. Okay, I am picking this video up about 7 hours after I started it. I started like a really steep climb this morning on my run, and I didn't have much time for my morning run, and I was trying to talk to camera and I was like, I can't do this climb and talk, and I'm breaking my run up into two parts today, so I thought I'd carry it on now. So running shoes, trail running shoes to be more precise, why are they so much more important than just regular running shoes? There's a million different reasons, but mainly the grip. They have lugs. Just trust me, the main thing you want to buy is trail run shoes if you are getting into trail run. Next up, you are going to want, like I have on, some technical clothing. Not just any clothing, because if you just wear your usual clothes that you'd work out in, you're gonna sweat, and it's horrible. It's horrible just sweating in like cotton clothes. It's not nice, so you want some technical clothing. It'll stop any rubbing, any chafing, and will help you with sweat, but also bright, like I have on now. This goes for road running as well, but if anything were to happen to you on the trails, again, you need to be able to be spotted for help, so bright clothing is a must. Speaking of clothes, you are going to want layers, and lots of them. As I said, it is New Year's Eve, it's cold, it's like 0 degrees. But I don't feel cold. Obviously you warm up when you're running, but if you layer correctly, then that really does help eliminate that. But also in the summer, you don't want to be running in thick clothes like this. You want a variety. So I have like a plain run t-shirt on, like a winterized like quarter zip, and then this hoodie, and then like a neck warmer, and that's perfect. But if you have multiple layers, it'll keep you warm when it's cold out, and it gives you variety for when it's less cold outside in the summer. So layers are just as important. And then probably the second most important thing, particularly for trail running, you want some form of like GPS tracking. Now, it doesn't have to be the most expensive high-end watch, which I will come on to later in the video. Your phone will do Strava, anything, just anything, so that people can track you if needed, and you can track your own running. So I've currently got my Garmin on, and I've got the live track feature shared to Kate. But Strava, all those apps, they all have similar things, and you can just use your phone. And my phone is literally right here. Trail runs, I never rarely go on without my phone, even if there's no signal around here. So moving on to things I would recommend you actually get, because you do need, but not straight away. You don't need to immediately jump for these things, but in the long run they're very, very handy. So off this list, there's probably one thing that I prioritize above the rest, and that is like a hydration vest. I have the Solomon one, don't have it on now. I do have it with me. Didn't think I needed it for this run, and I don't. But you can carry your phone, some fueling, some water, anything like that. It's really, really handy just to have some form of pack. It can even be a waist pack. I prefer the vests, but it's something that I would definitely prioritize in your next step of things to buy. And something you might want to put into your hydration vest or pack is something I do actually have on me. Mine's only basic, but a head torch, especially if you run this time. It's going to go dark in about half an hour. Carry a head torch. I probably won't need mine because I'm only doing a short run again, but even if it's just a basic one to start out with, head torch, definitely something that should stay in your pack if you're running either early or late on. Another thing you are likely going to consider and need in your hydration pack is hydration, fueling items, gels, chews, bars, tablets, whatever it may be. It's defo something that you need to explore and experiment with. Now, the issue with this one, I can't tell you what works because it's just different for everyone. Someone might recommend a gel, a tablet, and it might just not work with your stomach. So it's something that definitely takes a bit of time to get used to, trial and error. I found something that works for me, but just try it on some easy runs. Do not try it for the first time in a race. That is my only bit of advice on that. Do not try something new hydration wise unless it's needs must. You're an aid station, you've got nothing left, do it then. But go into your race day knowing you're confident in your fueling strategy. And lastly, for this little mini category of things I definitely recommend, but not immediately. Again, this is probably quite high up, but it's a first aid kit. Again, it's something I'm not currently carrying on me, but that is mainly because, as I said, flattish trail, which doesn't ever really get more than like half a mile away from a pub or a hotel. So I feel like on this run I can get away with it, but it has saved me. At some point as a trail runner, you are going to have a little trip or a fall or a scrape, and you'll be very, very glad you had a very basic and small compact first aid kit. Definitely get one at some point, maybe when you start venturing out to more adventurous trails. Okay, and lastly, ultimately, this is your trail running journey, this is your running journey, do what you want. But these are things that I've avoided, and I find quite a fair few trail runners avoid for certain reasons. So I'm just going to pass on that as my advice to you. But ultimately, as I said, it's your trail run, do what you want. But I would personally avoid these next few things. The first one being quite controversial, but it is carbon plated shoes. Now, these are the North Face Vective Endurance 4s. They have a TPU plating, and they do have a more expensive version that has a carbon plating. But carbon plated shoes are all the thing for road runners, and I understand why. I've worn them in the past years ago. But on the trails, I just don't quite think they've figured out how to get them perfectly into a trail shoe, and not many people run in carbon plated trail shoes. Just my opinion. Some of them are really well done, but they're just not quite for me or my foot type, and I love running these. The TPU plate gives incredible energy return. I've done a full review on these shoes, so let's not get into that. But carbon plated shoes on the trails, just not for me at the moment. Ultimately, this one is very useful, but you don't need it, and it is the highest spec GPS watch. As I said, ultimately really cool bit of kit. It's not going to harm your running, but do you need it? No. Maybe build up to it, maybe get used to just a general GPS running watch at first. I'm still working with, for now, a like 8-year-old Garmin that doesn't have maps or anything, so I am going to upgrade at some point, but the highest end, if you're just getting into running, it's probably not required. Look at this. Amazing. So quiet. So the thing with the running watch, as I said, it's not going to hinder you. It's going to help ultimately. If you have the highest spec, it's going to have every single form of technology possible to it, but you're probably going to use like 10 to 15, 20% of its capabilities, and then the rest is just going to be wasted, because they do cover like a million different sports and a million different activities, which you're probably not going to do. I'm not going to. It's ultimately why I don't have the highest M1, whereas most running watches, most running GPS watches will have pretty much everything you need for trail running. What you really need is maps, GPS tracking, and then some fitness and performance stats that you can get in real time whilst running. That's basically all you need. You need to know your pace, your heart rate, your elevation, your maps, cadence, things like that. They're really nice things to know. But you do not need a running watch if you are solely a trail runner for snowboarding, which is what the highest end running watches offer. Incredible bits of kit, but ultimately you just need to ask, do you really need them? Especially if you're only just starting out. Something to bear in mind. Now the next one is trail specific shorts. Now if you're not getting a hydration vest or waist belt, these are actually quite useful, because they'll have specific pockets with like zips, somewhere to hold like running poles or maybe a water bottle. But if you're getting a vest or a waist pack, they just seem a bit useless to me. Just get some shorts that do the job, some longer pants for winter, and you'll probably save yourself quite a bit of money. And lastly, a bit of a controversial one to be honest, but poles. I've never used them. I've only done a 53k, I say only, that's like the furthest distance I've ever done. It was here in the Lake District. It had nearly 3,000 meters of elevation gain, and it was technical. I didn't use poles, and the reason why I advise against them is purely because unless you're going straight for that ultra distance or really technical courses or training runs, you're likely going to spend like £150 here in the UK on something you're not going to use that often. Most trail runs don't require them unless you need them to support your run, which is absolutely fine. I'm at the age, and thankfully physicality, where I don't need that. So unless you know a race or a training run you're specifically going to do will help or require poles, poles will help or it will require poles. Again, it's just something that, as someone who is starting out, like me ultimately, I'm still only a year and a half into trail run, I'm still learning, but still to this day I've not required poles. So that's why it's something that I'd avoid, in my opinion. So that is everything for this video. As I said, this is purely based on my 18 months experience, which is limited, but I thought that that's why it's probably a good perspective to give, because ultimately I am still getting into trail running myself. So those are the things that if you are getting into trail running in 2026, I would perhaps purchase, perhaps consider purchasing, or just avoid for now. If you did enjoy this or you found it useful, let me know. Leave a like, it is much appreciated, and drop any bits of advice you guys would have in the comments below. Thank you for watching, see you in the next one. Another tip for trails, by the way, always close the gate behind you if you have to open it. Not a side bit of advice. Also, leave no trace. If you are eating or drinking on a run, take it with you. It's really easy.